so many unexpected things, and then having to then figure out how do we become responsible for Amari. So at that time, I don't even think Tristan and I were actually really even talking very much. And of course, when something horrible and horrific happens, like the loss of a parent, we put all of our BS aside, and we just, as my family, that's what we do. We stick together and we help one another.
Yeah, that's what family does. I mean, obviously it's not the same, but I mean, even when you went through your surgery, whether it was tumor or something, right? And, obviously it's not the same level, but everyone was there for you. That's what family's about, right? It's not just conditional, it's unconditional, right? So like you said, we might not have been speaking, or we might have been speaking very vaguely, but family always step up during times of need.
Yeah, or they should.
You hope.
They really should.
Mm-hmm.
How has it been with that transition of taking care of Amari for you? Because I also want to point out, Tristan moved to America at a very young age because he was and is the sole financial provider for his family.
I moved to the States when I was 16. I was begging my mom probably since the age of 13 to want to move to the United States, because the reality was I knew that basketball was going to be our way to having as close enough to financial freedom as possible we might have or be able to achieve. So I remember I used to write notes to my mom and letters to why I need to go play in the United States. Because the reality at the time, Canadian basketball wasn't that great. Imagine being in the 8th grade playing with guys that are sophomore and juniors and competing with them. It's just, your window of growth is so small. So it wasn't really until I started to play really more travel ball and travel to the States a lot, and my mom seeing when going to these tournaments how much attention and love I was getting from, coaches and scouts in the States, where she knew that this could actually be a real career path. And for me, I decided, I'm willing to sacrifice my teenage years of, whether it's going to prom or going to the movies or just being a teenager, right? And I said, I'd rather sacrifice that because I'm playing for a bigger goal. Our goal is to tell your parents, you never have to work again. Retire your parents. I think that's one of the most rewarding gifts you can give, because our parents sacrifice so much, and even so much more behind the scenes that we don't even see. So being able to give that gift, that was always my goal. I remember I was a kid that used to put on Post-it notes what my goals were, and I used to put them on my mirror in my bathroom. And I remember, it said, be #1 player in the country in high school, become a McDonald's All-American, which in that time, you're basically the top 24 high school players. So that's a prestigious thing. Michael Jordan, all the greats were a part of that game. Going high Division I college and making the NBA. And,
And did you do any of those things?
I achieved every single goal of mine on that note. But then it's crazy when we're kids, little things like that, we might think it means nothing, but it's like you're manifesting it, right?
Yeah.
Think about it, in the morning when you're brushing your
100%.
teeth, you're seeing it. It's crazy now at the age of 34, now 35, I've kind of got back to those kid roots now, where I have a whiteboard in my office and I write down my goals. And I think, I remember you mentioned it a couple New Year's Eves ago, mood board, right? Manifesting. I think you're a big believer of that. And we had that as children, and now I'm bringing it back now to my adult years. And I feel like it's working.
I love that. It is. And it's writing your thoughts out, writing that you're believing it. And you have to do it from a perspective that you're not saying one day, you have to believe it's happening now. And you saying one of your kids' goals is to retire their parents. What did your mom do as a career, and were you able to retire your mother?
My mom having me at 21, very young, really didn't have the means and the living setup situation to really take care of me on her own with my dad at the time. So my grandma raised me. The reason why I write left-handed is because my grandma, I spent a lot of time with her my first 3 to 4 years until my mom was able to financially, take over and have me, for a full-time routine. But, I think that's part of where I get this hard work. I remember my mom having 3 jobs, bagging groceries, being a school bus driver, and babysitting kids. And I think that work ethic kind of, that DNA, it fell into my soul and spirit as well. I mean, if you look at my career, the way that I play the game has always been the guy that's punched the clock in and done all the little things that might not show up on the box score, but it's what it takes to win. And, I learned that from my mom, that hard work always beats talent when talent doesn't work hard. So I think I'm very, very fortunate to learn a lot from her. Grew up in government housing. When you're young, you think that's like great living.
Sake of being nitpicky.
I think half the time they nitpick is because they actually like don't like each other. When you don't like someone, you'll find any reason to be upset with them, or any reason just to be combative, just to cause a storm. So I think the reason why we don't have that issue parenting is a bunch of things. I think the way your father raised you guys and the way I was raised was very a throwback old school way, an old school mentality, which I think we're on the same line with that. So that's one reason why I think it works for us. And I always tell people, I don't have to worry about Khloe when it comes to parenting our children, because the way we were brought up very similar. Armenian household, Jamaican household, there's some traditions and values that were there that have stuck with our parenting skills. I think you don't let society dictate how you parent. And for someone, for us as like celebrities or people of status, sometimes others that are in our position kind of fall into this kind of like sheep mentality and go with the wave. And I think we're just more shepherds on how we like to run our house. Not saying the way we run our house is the right way, but it works for us. And that's all that really matters.
What is something funny that either of the kids have done to make you laugh recently?
I love when Tatum calls you like Khloe or like Auntie Coco. Like Tatum like purposely trolls you.
Yeah.
And it's almost like,
it does.
it's like me, Rob, and like Tatum. Like we're just like to troll you all the time. He must be like, I don't know what the sun rising, mooning. He might be like a Pisces in one of those things. I don't know much about that stuff. But yeah, I think I love when Tatum trolls you.
Great.
It's very funny, and you know that. But also it's like, I think he has obviously I wasn't around for your childhood, but I think there's a lot of you and him. So I think you like to say it's Rob, but I think like you and Rob are like twins. So it's like really like you.
Oh, you're not like twins.
You guys are like twins. You guys have a lot of similarities. You guys just,
We're similar.
Very similar.
But very different.
Very similar. If you ask OG Chris, she will say.
Oh gosh. What qualities do your kids have that remind you of you?
Okay. With True, the quality that she has of yours is your heart and like caring for other people. And True's the type of person that will, give her last jelly bean to a kid that maybe is hungry or wants the snack. Very similar to you. A quality that True has of mine is she looks like me. She has long legs like me.
She's great at math.
Great at math like me. Yeah, that was a strong suit of mine. I never enjoyed reading.
And what about Tatum?
Tatum, his energy is
it's
similar.
crazy.
Yeah, his energy, like high energy. I mean, it makes sense. Like when I look at him, I'm like, no wonder I can rebound and play hard for 48 minutes and not get tired. It's in him. He's got that ball of energy. But he has this sweet side where he just wants to like grab your face and kiss you. And he's like, mommy, come. And he just holds your face. And then after that, he's like, it's time to go run around.
Something that I do love and appreciate you as a father, because I'm like this too. And I didn't realize how much I should have realized, because my dad was always really goofy and like got down and played with us. He was never too like grown to be with us. My dad was always a big kid. And you are like that with the kids. And I love that. Like, I think that's a great quality for anyone to have, is you can buy your kids anything, but they really just want you to get down and play with them. And when you play with them, or when you're being silly and dancing with them, like that means so much to them. I know they might not see that now, but definitely when they're older, they will look back, because we do. And I'll be like, oh, my dad in the pool, and like the things he would do. And he would just do silly dances. And so that's one quality that I love as a father about you, and I think is really great. And they love it.
Yeah, I think it's those memories, right? I mean, I never got to share those memories with my dad. Maybe it was because, he was working long hours trying to provide for us. I don't know what the reason is. Maybe he was just not around to not be around. But for me, it was just, like you said, kids remember everything. Because even me, I remember like moments that are not the greatest that I experienced with my dad, but you always take it with you. And kids never forget. So it's important. But I think it's even more when you're losing my mom, being able to pour into them. It just doesn't stop, right? It's not just because of me grieving, I pour into them. It's a continued thing. And, I like to be able to joke around. But that's the only reason why I wanted to have kids at a young age, because I never wanted to be that.
You wanting to have kids at a young age was planned? I'm just asking.
I mean, I knew I always wanted to have kids at a young age.
Your face looked
I was
terrified. No,
I mean,
it was just a question.
Listen, the most important thing is that I wanted to have my kids at a young age because I wanted not to be the old guy at graduation. I wanted to be the young dad who was like hip, tapped in, like be able to play with my kids.
That wasn't like some gotcha question.
I mean,
Holy
I wasn't sure.
crap.
I wasn't sure.
Do you ever feel uncomfortable at like the birthday parties or like the family events?
Not as of late. I would say this. I would say
Definitely her first birthday was horrible.
oh yeah, that first birthday was